All right, just want to make a quick video today showing the trade setups that happened on Thursday. Uh, Market was closed Friday because of Good Friday, so today's Saturday. Thought I'd throw up a quick video, just kind of walk you through the target flow trading system, how the signals appeared, and then what kind of possible trades you could have taken there, and obviously ones maybe you shouldn't have taken. So we'll kind of walk through that. So give me just a second here. We'll show you a few things, then you guys can decide, hey, if this is the right system for you and how to use it, and obviously just the best ways to trade using two different time frames, using multiple indicators to give you the signals, and obviously some rules there to apply. So first off, I do want to talk pre-market. Okay, so if we look over here, this was 7 a.m. my time. I'm Mountain, so that would have been 9 a.m. The market opens up at 9:30, which would have been right in this area here. Let's see, right there actually. So anyway, there was a good signal on pre-market that happened at my time. 6:56 gave us the triangle there. But if you come over here and look at this 6:56, it's actually going to be the 6:58 because these candles on a 2-minute start at that time, and they obviously end at 6:58. So we need to look at the 6:58. Well, you can see here 6:58 where it stopped at, which was this support line here. So we use support and resistance to kind of determine our take profits and some stop losses there. Kind of, if you were in this trade, you'd want to move it above a previous support or resistance line. But the point is, this stopped right on the line. Okay, so well, we kind of missed that little run there, which it wasn't much of a run. But then we do pick up a chance here with the market actually at 7 a.m. closing below, and it gives us that signal. Okay, so close below that line. We know, okay, at that point, hey, there's a good chance if the market's going to keep trending, it's going to come down to this next line we had drawn, which it did. Okay, so that was actually a trade I took pre-market, which are great trades to take because you're not getting in when the market's super moving. But there's people coming in the market, futures traders mainly, who want to see that and it kind of spot some of these trades. And so it's easy money to take, very low risk of the market just totally doing some reversals or whatever. So anyway, I was able to take that trade and was able to get out here. Now this does have an exit signal. This is an indicator we offer that does that. So that's totally up to you if you want to use that or not. It's just on there to show you. But again, you'll see these as we go through the charts where it said that. So anyway, I wrote this down until we were able to get into this profit here. Okay, now I did obviously push down further. There is a blue line here, which that one actually comes built into the chart as the indicator itself. These ones that are this darker yellow, there are some that are there pre-built into the indicator and some I've added myself. So if I scroll out just a little bit here, you'll see how many I've got. There's just a ton of them. Again, it looks messy, but once you get actually into the charts, it's very helpful. You can see how these just stopped right up that line there. So anyway, that was our first pre-market. So our first one actually came during the market. We don't like to trade the open because it's just too volatile, but you do want to wait. Sometimes it's 5, 10, 15, sometimes it's even an hour until a signal comes, depending on what the market's doing. But our first one came at 750, so it would actually be 752 on our 30-second chart. So let's scroll over here till we get to about 752. All right, we're getting closer. 45. All right, so we're going to be right in this area here. That's 50. So again, did I say 52? Yes, we need to be at 52, which gives us a signal. That's 51. All right, so there's our 752 candle. And it was red, but you can see everything here was green. Everything here was green. That's why I gave the signals. So we need to confirm that we have triangle on the 2-minute. Okay, trend's going up. Now it did break out kind of out of this area here of the open, gave us a signal. So the main thing we want to look at is, hey, is there going to be enough room for us to get into this trade to move up to another line? Okay, and so you can see I've marked it off here. Now it did close right below there, but once that next bar came, you can either get in on this one on the retrace. That's a good signal to get in when it's retraced, and it closed on the top of the candle on this little retrace off this top one here. Okay, so you could be more conservative and get in here, and then obviously just write it up. But with this first wave of the market, first flowing wave, and a retest, then we know it's going to most likely push up to get out. Okay, now stop loss wise, hey, you're probably going to put your stop loss right below this line here or below the end of the candle that ends right there. Okay, that's a good way to know, hey, if this thing's going against me, it's going to reverse down on this next candle, and I'm going to, I don't lose a lot. You don't want to put it clear down here too many points away. You want to come off at one of the least amount of losses as possible, right? That's how you stay in this game. So anyway, this also did give us an exit signal at the top of this bar here, which was the bar we were going for because that's where our next support line, or this case resistance line, was there for it. Okay, so that right there, I think it was about a 20-point move. Let's just measure. And again, depending when you get in, right? That's 23, but let's say even if it was 15, I like to go anywhere from 10 to 15 on targets to make money trading small micro accounts. If you do 5 small micros, that's an easy $60, profit right there. So if you do 10, that's an easy, $120 profit, somewhere in that area. So anyway, so that's our first one that panned out there. Okay, played well, played right to the point where we needed to get to, and then you can see it just kind of retraced down. Okay, now you say, well, how do we know to time that market? That's why you've got to go back in time, find where these support and resistance lines held, and then those are our targets. That simple. Okay, so next signal came. Let's look at 808. So let's scroll through here a little further till 808. It'd be 810 actually on the chart. 806, 807, and 808. So right there's our signal. Now, 808, let's see, 808, is that right? Yep, 810 actually, sorry, 810, 809, 810. So there would be this signal here. And if I remember right, yeah, this is why I did not take this trade, is because it was sitting, it was actually giving us a green, and then this had switched to green. So it's not a valid signal. This is, I don't want to call it a false signal because we don't really believe in false signals until these are 100% in agreement. But you can see this had green here at our 810 candle. So we're not taking that trade. Okay, that's what you got to look for and say, is everything still red on both indicators, both time frames? Okay, this one was not, so that's why it has that there. Okay, so we get a signal a little further down, 814. Just go down here a little bit further. That's 813. 814 would actually be 816 our time. So there's our signal there. Okay, now what happened here? Let's just scroll this out. It's a little too wide. So what happened here is we closed below our support line. Okay, most likely it's trending down. We can see on this trend here we had a retracement. Okay, this was kind of the first flow of the market, retraced. Now we're hoping, we know what's happened here because we can see it, right? We can see what happened in this chart, but we can see the market is trending down. Even if we weren't seeing that much of it, you can definitely see that there's some downward momentum. Okay, so there's our trade here, and you can see depending on when you want to get in, you could get in here. You could wait even further. You can say, okay, the market definitely pushed down. I'm way below. Anytime in this area here, you could get in. Okay, I just put it here on this candle here. If you did wait, a little bit further, and you can see this one. I think we had a 20-point take profit where the exit happened, but you can see it did push even further down. Did not hit this line here for whatever reason. It could be something that was based off of this line here, this line here, this one here. So I don't have this one drawn on this one, but you can see, looking at the 30-second chart here on the right, where this line appeared off of this support here. Okay, so it did hit that line there, and then obviously did a retracement on its way up. Okay, but the point was, if you're going 15, 20 points, 10 points, there's plenty of room there for that market, and obviously you can just see it went down. So you can hang on to those. A good re-entry point would have been here at the 24 candle, which would have been the 22 candle here. Sorry, there's some confusion there. But anytime, let me just make this a little bit easier to look at. Okay, anytime we have our first flow of the market and a retrace, you can look at getting back into the market. Now, obviously, we stopped right there on that support. You want to see it break. Okay, so there's a break. Now, we do have this other signal here that we were able to get into. So let me just scroll a little further down. Again, we didn't take this one because it was sitting on that line. But once we broke, we said, hey, there's another line down here. Let's look at taking that one. And you can see I did put a smiley face there because the market did come down and touch that. Okay. Now, one thing to know is you don't take every single one of these triangles, right? Because some of these are flowing, giving you different directions. You've got to look at it and say, where did it close? Where did it go? Now, again, this one did close below, but normally on our bigger candles, we want to kind of wait for that retrace, especially if you just got in. You don't want to jump in again and keep buying positions down, because eventually they are going to retrace, and you need to have a stop loss built in. Now, something like this, you probably would have put a stop loss right above these lines here, just because that's kind of where that retrace happened. Okay, same with this. If you were to get back into the market, this would be a great point to get it back in on the retrace. Now, we do have a signal here, but you can see I do have a whatever you want to call it, no trade, because we just got out of this trade right here. Okay, so again, you could have taken it. It was stuck on this line. It did break this line and did continue downward, but that's another reason to kind of I don't want to say avoid them, but be cautious, because you've seen the flowing market down. Again, we're not here to look back and say, dang it, I could have made X amount of more points off this one. We're mainly here to make profits and get out of the market. The less time in the market is better for you long term. I promise you. You'll take 2-3 trades a day. You'll do plenty. There's no reason to take more than that. No reason to sit at your chart all day. Just more risk of a chance of one of these going wrong. Okay, so take a trade, make your money, get out. Don't worry about the market. Don't worry what it does. Just move on. Okay. All right. So you can see this exit did give a signal. Now how this works is it's the market flow index down here. It did close below a certain level, which I think set at 20, 80 and 20 are these lines down here. They're on both charts. So this one did give it on this chart on the 2 minute. Again, great time to get out when it's giving that, or you can wait on the 30 seconds. So again, this is optional. It's not going to give you every single signal, right? Because if we have a buy signal here, well, it never got above here to tell you to get out. So it's not an exact science on the exit signals, but it's a good, helpful thing to know if you're thinking about getting back in the market off of a signal. Be like, oh, it just gave me this exit, I better hold off. And then the market obviously pushed up right here. So again, use it as you want. I use it just to know, hey, we are overbought. Just helps me as a reminder. And I do take it as exit signals, right? If the market's trending down and I'm in this trade and I'm like, hey, how far more can this go? Even though it did close here, a couple bars back, it gave me that exit signal. And again, it did push down, but look at the difference there, right? If you got in here, you would have maybe made your money back on this one here. I'm not going to go and analyze it too much, but the point is not too far away, just a few minutes before, it kind of told us, hey, we're overbought here. And this one came close. As you look down here, it got really close to giving us another signal, okay? Market retraced up. All right, so let's move over a little bit further, looks for our next signal. All right, so this was at 904, which would have been 906 on the chart. So let's go to 906. All right, so there we are, 905, 906. So in this candle here, you can see I've already got it plotted out. And you can see we broke above this line here. Now you could, this was green right here, this was green right here, but it did not close above. If you're more aggressive, once it does turn green and this is green, a lot of people will just say, I'm going to take a little chance on it. My stop loss isn't too far down. I can come down here. I'm willing to risk that because I want to get this full move. When you're actually live trading this, you'll notice the charts on the 30 second, this is green, or you're getting into a re-entry signal. With about maybe 6 to 8 seconds left on the 30-second candle, you can see the countdown on your chart, and it turns green. I'm comfortable getting in at that point, even though it hasn't closed yet, because you want to catch these moves when it's right here, when it's having these big pushes. Even those are 30-second charts, some of these are just within 3 to 5 seconds. It just blasts off. So I would not do anything on the 2-minute chart. Wait till it closes. Okay, wait till these signals are on the charts. Wait till you've seen it close above. But on a 30-second chart, if it's got 6-8 seconds left, and it just turns green, there's a good chance it's staying green and it's gonna run up. Okay, there's a lot of times I'll be in trades under 15 or 20 seconds because the market just moves that quick to my target. Okay, all right, so you can see that one hit our target. Anywhere in these ones here, you could have taken for that, and that this line here shows, was it 29? Yeah, it's showing 29 as a target to that line there. Okay, and again, it did give that exit because it was overbought. All right, let's move on. Again, I don't trade past 10 o'clock my time, noon Eastern. So some of these, that gave 2 exits there to get out of it. Just basically saying, hey, we are overbought on this, time to get out of the market. Again, it's helpful indicator that we offer for you. So, all right, here's our next one here at 9:36. Let's just scroll over here, and I'll explain why we did not get into this one. Because 9:38 is when the candle closes. Well, you can see what happened here. Let me just move that out of the way. It stopped right at the top of that. That's where you could say, well, if it comes back, I can get into this, but it never gave us that good signal to get in, or never came up back to touch it. If it's touched a target, you need to wait for the next signal to give you, okay? Which it never did, obviously. Never gave us another one because obviously you can see it turned red there. But that's why we don't want to take that kind of trade. And then you can see that what kind of mess it just got into later. It just chopped all day long. Okay, that's the same one with this one here, was 9:52. So let's scroll over to that one. Again, don't jump into a trade if it's coming off of a line right there and it's giving you that signal on that bar basically saying, hey, you should get in. It can retest, it can, but after looking at this, what it had just done with all these wicks, you'll know once you start to trade, oh, yeah, I'm going to hold off on this one. Again, it's better to hold off than risk your money, because again, you could have risked your money, your loss would have been here, and you could see it just would have went down because you want to use that last support or resistance that we're going with, and you would have lost money, and you'd say, oh, this bad signal, bad trade, whatever. But then you'll look back and say, I should have never got into that trade. You'll learn as you go through it. So it's better to be safe than sorry, right? All right. So our next one was, what was this one here? We're going 9:52. So right in this area here, be 954. Right in this area here. Let's see. Well, I don't even have that one marked. Oh, I think it's just because it was so choppy, I didn't even worry about it because of those candles. That's why I wasn't into it. So next one would have been 1006. So let's scroll there. Again, you'll see this and you'll be like, I'm not trading this stuff, and you'll know just the way the market's moving. You're not gonna mess with that. So I didn't mark anything there. All right. So here is our next one. This one's a small one here. This would have definitely been one you could have made some money on. It does have a 20 point. It doesn't look like it just the way the market moved, but there was a 20-point move on this one based off of this little candle here. Again, we're still in that chop, but because of the way this was pushing up, you kind of feel that trend going. There was a little bit of a reversal here to push up, and then it obviously gave us the signal for us to jump in. Everything was green, broke through this line here. We had plenty retrace and plenty of move to come up there. Again, the candles were big movers right then, so it doesn't look as much, but when you stretch it out, there was plenty of room to hit your target there. So again, 1 or 2 trades a day. We already saw the good moves this morning on those. It's totally up to you if you want to take those. Okay, here's another one here at 1018. So let's jump into here. And do I not have this one marked on? Let's see, 1018. I may have missed this, putting this one on the chart. So 1018 right there. So it'll be 1020. Again, maybe that's why I didn't take this one here, didn't mark it, because it had hit that level, gave us an exit signal right, next bar over. There was a retrace here. It just with it so close to this line here, not really worth taking it there. Okay, but you can see why we would not have taken that. Oh, it just closed above the line. It hit that line. Retrace. You could. Some people, I know that actually will look at taking these trades, even small ones, 5 to 7 points, just to make money. They feel, hey, it's going to come back and test this, which it did, and there you go. All right, hopefully that helps you understand that trade. Next one here, we have 1052. Again, I don't trade this late. I am done by noon Eastern, so I'm just kind of showing you guys what we've got here. 1052, so that'd be 1054 on this chart here. 1054. So we are getting closer. There we are. So nice little flows in the market going up. We get the signal here at the 1052, which would be 1054 on this one. To be this market here. We're right in the middle of it. You look back here and say, hey, where can this go? This was a great opportunity to get in, knowing that it's got a good target to go to here. We've been trading upward, and you can see it hit there. And again, it gave that exit signal right at the end of the line there for you to take that profit there. So anyway, and then again, a few bars later, gave a signal, but again, you just got out of this trade. You're not going to take this again. It didn't break this line of resistance. So we're going to wait for the next flow up in the market. So anyway, there are a couple other opportunities here that would have presented itself here, 1114. So let's just go one more. Let's go to 1116 just to show you guys this next one here. Again, close below our support line. Good chance is it might run down to this next line. If not, we take our loss, up in this area. But you can see normally any one of these signals, if you put a stop loss above the previous candles, even if you want to go this high, you're going to be fine if you're in the good flow of the market. Okay, any of these, if this was a buy, your losses are not very big. Now, when I put my orders in, if I'm trading 5 contracts, I'm usually doing like a 50-point stop loss. Well, that's pretty big. You don't want to take a full stop loss, but let's just assume this was our trade here. 50 points back is clear up to this next support line. Again, you're not going to go that high. You're going to go more in this area here. Assuming we were in there, the most you're there at 32, which is still fairly large. I know people who just play off the bottom of the top of that candle if you're in a sell, so you're at 18. Okay, and again, that's about a 1-to-1 because you're going for 15 to 20 points, and that's obviously where it went down to hit that. So anyway, hopefully that gives you guys a good explanation of working on a 2-minute and confirming on a 30 where we're at within those support and resistance lines. All this is explained on the website. So let me quickly go to the website here. Let me go scroll down here. All right, this is the back office of the website. As you can see, once you get into the system, how you activate the service, you put in your TradingView login there. Make sure you activate that. Do it exactly as you have it set up. We're going to go into the Discord. So then you need to put your Discord in. Copy and paste that from your Discord so you get it exactly right. It works better that way instead of trying to type it in. Okay, and then we have a bunch of training down here that you can look at. As you scroll down to the website, any of these we click on here, you'll see just in the website. There's just a ton of information that you can look at. And then these are some of them are videos. Again, this is all the back office. Once you get set up, you can kind of come in here and just look at what we've got. Just tons of different examples, videos to watch, and how to trade, and avoid the market, avoid the open. Here's a pre-market checklist. Just tons of different stuff. So, website itself, though. I'm sorry, not trading. Target flow. There we go. All right, here is the layout of the website. You come in here, fill out your information. $10 per month, monthly subscription. You get access to those 4 indicators we're using. Pay your information. You can come read all this. It is best to have the paid plan with TradingView. Okay, that way you get access to the 2-minute and the 30-second charts. You can work on a 3-minute and a 1-minute, but we don't recommend that. There's a little video you can watch kind of explaining the system. Push subscribe. But once you get that, you'll get an email from us how to set up a password to the back office. And then, like I just showed you, you got tons of access here to all these different things here. And we're adding more all the time, more training videos and how to go from there. So again, tons of videos, tons of things for you guys to look at there. So anyway, hopefully that helps you out, gives you a good idea. Go to the website if you're really interested. $10 per month. That is a monthly subscription. Gives you access to the private Discord group we have, and that's brand new, so we're still growing that. But you get into that, $10 a month. You get the indicators. Basically, as long as you keep paying, you'll have those. Same with the Discord. And again, the system, it works great. So, it helps you stay in the market, waiting to your targets, and then it helps you stay out of the market when you get all this choppiness here in the indicators. It's everything's got to be green, and you can kind of watch this. Say everything went green. There was a little red there in that one, which is there. Gave us a re-entry signal. And I'm just assuming that, let's say that it was there. We can see the market went up. Even if this one here, we know it went up. Okay. Again, we wouldn't take that. I mentioned before as it's already off of a previous one. So follow the rules. Be consistent in the rules in your money management, and the system will work for you. Guys, hopefully this helped you out, and you can see that the Target Flow trading system is a great option. Thanks.